Hi guys, I'm back today with a video on a collection that I think we've all been waiting for. There are some things I really like, there are some things I'm kind of like, and it's just mostly because it's a my preference type of thing. And the collection that I'm talking about is the Melt Cosmetics and Beetlejuice collection. As you guys can see, I have both of the palettes here, I have the mascara here. I didn't get anything else from the collection, and it's just because I'm going to be honest, nothing else was kind of my style or something that I would wear or get enough use out of. And when I did a poll, you guys were not really interested in it. So for me, it just didn't make sense to buy a bunch of stuff that I wasn't going to get a lot of use out of. The brushes were interesting, but I like Beetlejuice, it's fine, but it's not like my Halloween favorite. So I went ahead and just said, okay, I'm going to pick up things that I really want to have that you guys wanted to have reviewed. So those things were the palettes and the mascara. And I'm totally going to review them both for you. First things first, I'm going to show you guys the packaging on these. For the waiting room palette, it came in a box like this. Really cool box, actually. Like the details on it. Melt is really great with details. That's one of the things they do the best. And here they have like a little film. If you're like my age, you'll know what film is. It's like a thing that doesn't even happen now, but it looks like a film negative. And it's so cool. You can see the sawed girl in this picture from the movie. It actually came inside of the palette, but I kind of took it out because I kept like flipping it around everywhere. Actual palette looks like this. It is like a kind of interesting like clearish plastic that is colored. Inside looks like this, and it is really interesting. It's got the sandworm imprinted on some of the shadows inside. This is the color story. It's mostly reds and grays and blacks, and that is that one. And I also got the Recently Deceased palette. This was the packaging for this. Really cute there again. Definitely makes sense for the theme. And it came with another film negative. This one right here. Very cool. I love the idea of this, actually. I thought this was interesting for a shadow cover. You know how most brands like will put like a piece of plastic over their stuff anyway. This was a really cool way to do it. They do things differently for sure. The packaging on the Recently Deceased palette is the same as the waiting room, but it's like a green see-through instead. And this is the inside of this one, and it's got your yellows, your greens, your purples. So those are both of the palettes. The packaging for the mascara looks like this. It's the Supernatural Lash. And it's got that cool holographic detail to it, which I really like. Packaging itself is just like the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. Like the weight, the feel, the everything, it is just like it. The thing that is not the same is the wand. The wand is truthfully kind of wonky. I wasn't really a fan of it. I'm going to bring it up really close to you guys again, so hopefully you can see it. It's like a weird, it goes in, or it goes out, in, and then it flares out at the bottom, but I don't know if maybe I just got like a weird brush or something because it's kind of like jank a little bit. That's just me being honest. I'm really sorry. For $24 for a mascara, you really want it to be something spectacular. That is, for me, the brush is just kind of strange. But I'll talk about the actual performance and stuff at the very end of the video. The palette right here had 8 shades and it is $48. And then the waiting room palette has 10 shades and it is $58. I'm going to do some swatches for you guys right now. If you guys want to see how I got this eye look, just watch after that. And at the very end, I'm going to actually tell you what I think of all of these items. So if you want to see that, just keep watching. Okay, so I'm starting in the Recently Deceased palette with the shade Beetlejuice. And this is like a perfect Halloween green shade. It's kind of like a limey, greenish, kind of yellow toned a little bit as well. Paranormal. This is a black base green shade. It is more of a satin than a metallic, but it is definitely a really nice shade. It's like a forest green with a slight bit of blue to it. I'll draw a door. And this is a really nice kind of mustardy yellow shade, but with a slight bit of green to it. This is the shade Neurotic. And this is a really pretty kind of like old gold with green to it. It is really nice, but I am curious how close it is to the color Golds from the Melt Gemini palette. I feel like Golds will be slightly more green, but they are definitely in the same vein. It's called Recently Deceased. And it's a really nice kind of satin, a little less than satin, purpley pink shade. It is called Lost Souls. Here again, in my opinion, this is like the quintessential Halloween purple. It's a very bright purple, definitely some pink undertones to it. Next shade is called Little Accident. And this is a pinkish satin shade. The last shade in the palette is called Bio Exorcist. The thing I want to note is that this palette is actually called a pigment palette. And this is the whole palette. In the Waiting palette is called Obituary. This is actually a really nice shade. It looks more like red in the pan. And it is a red tone shade, but it's like a gray toned red with almost a slight bit of purple to it. It's called No Exit. It is very similar to this shade, just slightly more purple and deep. The shade I wanted to use so bad today, and it is called Sod Girl. And it is a nice satin, kind of reddish, purplish, pinkish shade. The next shade is called Dante's Inferno. And it's a really pretty kind of black-based reddish orange shade. It is more on the metallic shade, but I wouldn't say it's foiled. I mean, the texture is very foiled, but it's not very foiled looking. It is a little bit duochromatic. The shade is called Lydia. And it's red with a slight hint of orange. Kind of a more than satin, but not quite metallic shade. The shade is called Charman. And it's a very nice true black. Next shade is called Tombstone. And it's a really pretty gray shade that almost has a slight bit of green to it. Shrunken Head. And this is very similar to Tombstone, but it is more true gray rather than green gray. Next shade is called Juno. And this is a really beautiful foiled shade. It's like a slightly thicker than topper formulation type of feel to it or whatever. It is extremely foiled, but it is a bit flaky. However, I mean, overall, it's a very nice shade. Last shade in the palette is called Sandworm. And this is kind of a grayish, bluish white shade. The thing to note about this is that it is also listed as a pigment palette.
I said
Okay, I'm back. I have my eyeliner on, I have my mascara on, and I want to talk about each of the items in this collection. So, let's go ahead and start with the waiting room. So, here's the thing to note about both of these palettes, you guys. They are both pigment palettes. That's what they're listed as. And for some people, that may not be great for their eyes. Now, I have extremely sensitive skin and eyes, and I've never had a problem with any of these pigments. And right now, I don't feel like I'm having any irritation wearing them, anything like that. So there's the good news. However, saying that, what works for me may not work for you. So you've got to know your own skin to judge that kind of thing. But for the most part, the worst that I've ever seen is just some staining, and that's not really a big deal to me. And truthfully, I mean, really, it came off pretty good on my arm, so I'm not super, like, worried about that. This may not be a big deal for you, but for me, I'm just like, darn it, man. As a melt collector, I dislike having 10-pan palettes and 8-pan palettes and then random palettes. I really wish they were all the same size. Now, that is just like a picky kind of thing, so that has nothing to do with the actual performance of these palettes. But for me, as soon as they released the pictures of them, I actually depot a lot of my stuff and I put them into palettes. And I was like, these are not going to match anything that I have. It was like the time they released the Impulsive palette and they were the same shape, but they were way smaller. So, like, nothing I have, like, sits together in the same kind of order now that they keep switching it up. And that, to me, is like, oh, it just makes me crazy. So for somebody that isn't, like, really OCD, like I can be, or that doesn't depot their collection, or doesn't really, like, collect melt, or it's not really a big deal, then you're gonna love these. That's not gonna be the issue. For me, it just, like, they're totally a different shape, and not just on the inside, on the outside, too. But the performance on the inside is extremely good. If you guys have watched my videos before, you know for me that Melt's metallic formulation has been kind of hit and miss. And for me, I really like the metallics in this collection. And I really like the satins in this collection. The shade Juno, which is in the Waiting Room palette, is a little bit flaky. But you know what? For the way it performs, I don't even care. Like, it is really pretty. I've got that on the first half of this eye over here. And the other thing I actually was really, really surprised about these palettes is that they play so nicely together. Because originally I was kind of like, Like, you know how last year when they released the Amor Eternal collection and it was beautiful and everything just, like, really played off of each other. I really like Beetlejuice, but, like, I didn't necessarily need a Beetlejuice collection, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to top Amor Eternal in my mind because it was just so aesthetically perfect. And not just, like, on the outside packaging, but the inside colors. Like, I just think they did a really good job. And I was actually really dumb and I didn't get the Muerte palette until, like, just recently, thanks to somebody that actually watches my channel. Shout out to you! I don't know if I can say your name, so I'm not going to say it, but you know who you are and you're awesome. I definitely didn't want to miss out on this, but I actually was kind of like, maybe I won't get this because these color stories are not necessarily my favorite color stories. But now I'm really, really glad I got them. So if you were on the fence about picking them up, I actually think that you should get them because they are so much better when you use them and use them in conjunction with each other. And I think some of their other palettes that I think you're really going to enjoy them. Looking at this, you're only seeing, like, you know, 2 real color stories here. The colors seem so close together. At first I was kind of really put off by that. And they are close to each other, but they do play nicely. So for me, it definitely was not a waste at all. And then also it's the same with the Recently Deceased. The inside of this one looks like they are, again, kind of close in color, especially when you get down here. I personally would have liked to see something differently. When it comes to the actual performance, I'm not disappointed at all. So I don't want anybody to think that. These were really, really good. Now, moving on to the mascara, I'm going to be honest, I personally wish I would not have bought this. I don't know if it's just because of the wand itself. I don't like the wand at all. I think it's kind of a funky shape. I think maybe if it didn't have that shape, it would work better. The mascara itself, once I used another one with it, worked better. But for the price, I feel like, you know, I've got a bunch of these ones right here from Essence, and, you know, you can get them sometimes 40% off and 50% off, and I feel like they are better than this. The packaging on here is much heavier. It is nice. If you like Beetlejuice, it's definitely worth it for you. But for me, I'm going to keep trying to use it, but I just feel like the wand is really bad, or maybe I got a bad wand. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, when I saw pictures of it, I didn't think it looked quite like this. But, not really a fan. I'm so sorry. I hate to say it, but that's just how I feel about it. For you, this shape may be perfect. And, you know, I think the formula is actually probably really good. I think that the wand just detracts so much from that I can't really experience it. So, what I might do is, like, try to use a different wand in this and try to see how I like it. And then maybe if that changes my opinion, I'll come back and let you guys know. Because I feel really bad, but at the same time, like, it's $24. That's a lot of money for a mascara. You want to really like it if you're going to pay for that. So I personally would have liked their more normal packaging, like their black matte kind of finish type of stuff. I think that would have looked really nice with this. In the future, they'll probably release something like that, I would imagine. But for me, I really hope with their next like holiday collection that they do next year that it is more like the Amor Eterno than this, personally. And I just want to tell you guys why I didn't get the other products. I can't use the eyeliners. I love the eyeliners. I think that they work really, really nicely, but there must be just one ingredient in them that doesn't agree with my eyes. And I can get away with it, but my eyes are always irritated when I use them. So that's just money I didn't need to put out into that, especially when I did the poll. Everybody just said the palettes and the mascara, so that's all I picked up. The brushes and bag were really cool, but I don't necessarily need those either. All of the lip products were not in colors that I could ever see myself using in any way, shape, or form. That's just me personally. I mean, once in a while I might pull something out for a funky use or something, but to spend that kind of money on something that I'm just not going to use, I could not justify it. I'm really sorry, you guys. I know Melt is really well known for like doing these really bold and different color stories, but they also have some very new color stories, and I'd love to see a whole collection of that type of thing next year. Not that it needs to be nude, not that it needs to be like something really typical, because they always pull it out, but I would thoroughly like to get like a collection of like beautiful wearable shades and some really pretty packaging. Despite all those comments, I am actually really, really happy with all of the stuff that I got, excluding the mascara. I also want to keep giving it a shot. This is one use, and I'm going to try and do it a couple different ways and get the most for my money. Or maybe I did just get a really bad wand. I don't know. If somebody's wand looks different than mine, please let me know. I tried to get kind of close up with it, so I'm really curious to know if it was just mine or somebody else's, or if that's normal. And these are just my personal thoughts. You may love this collection inside and out, and if you do, I am so glad, because quality is definitely there. This is just not something that draws me in personally, but I do like it. It is going to get used, and I think definitely I want to use it more with other stuff from them, because I think they're all going to work really, really well together. In any case, if you guys did like this video, I don't know what's up with the fist. I'm like, da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like, put a comment down below, subscribe, and ring the bell for future updates. I'd actually really like to know what everybody else picked up in the comments and what your thoughts are on it as well, because I really want to know, was it just me when you guys saw the collection roll out, or what were you guys' thoughts? Because it seemed like everybody was really, really excited. So maybe it's just because I'm not as big into Beetlejuice, and I'm really weird about my palettes kind of being more uniform. I don't know. I'm kind of picky. What's wrong with me? I'm a picky Nikki, if you will. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a great day and staying healthy and safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.